Have you ever walked into a place that everyone else seems to enjoy, and within seconds, something in you just quietly shuts down? It's not dramatic. You're not panicking. You're not even sure what's wrong. But the lights feel a little too bright. The sounds don't blend. They stack. Conversations overlap like unfinished sentences. People brush past you, and somehow your brain registers every single movement. You try to focus on one thing, one person, one voice, but your attention keeps getting pulled away. And then comes that familiar thought. How long do I have to stay here before it's okay to leave? What's strange is, if someone asked you why you feel this way, the answer never sounds convincing enough. I just don't like crowds feels too simple, too vague, almost like an excuse, because on the surface, crowded places are supposed to be normal, fun even. Concerts, festivals, busy markets, packed cafes. These are the places where life is happening, where people connect, laugh, celebrate. So if you feel uncomfortable in those spaces, it's easy to assume something about you is off. Maybe you've even told yourself that you're too sensitive, too introverted, too easily overwhelmed, that you just need to get used to it. But here's the thing most people never explain properly. That reaction you have to crowded places, it's not random, and it's definitely not meaningless. In fact, it says a lot about how your brain is wired to experience the world. Let me show you what's actually going on beneath the surface. Imagine your brain as a kind of control room. Every second, it's receiving signals. Sounds, sights, movements, facial expressions, tones of voice, even subtle shifts in energy around you. For most people, this system filters aggressively. It decides what matters and what doesn't, letting only the important things through. But for some people, that filter is a little more open. Not broken, just more permeable. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as high sensory processing sensitivity. It means your brain doesn't just notice more. It processes more, deeper, longer, with more layers attached to it. So when you walk into a crowded place, you're not just seeing a lot of people. Your brain is tracking micro-expressions, tone shifts, body language, spatial movement, background noise, and emotional signals, all at once. It's like your mind has 10 tabs open, and none of them are silent. Now here's where neuroscience makes this even more interesting. There's a part of your brain called the insula. It plays a role in awareness, both of your internal state and your external environment. Studies have shown that in people who are more sensitive to overstimulation, this region tends to be more active. In simple terms, your brain is not only noticing more, it's also feeling more of what it notices. So when a space gets crowded, it's not just busy, it becomes intense. And your nervous system reacts accordingly. That subtle tension in your body, that urge to step outside for fresh air even when you just got there, that quiet exhaustion that creeps in faster than it should, that's your system trying to regulate itself. Not avoid, not escape, regulate. But here's where it gets more personal, because this sensitivity doesn't just appear out of nowhere. For many people, it develops over time. Think back for a moment, not to any dramatic event, but to patterns. Maybe you grew up in an environment where you had to read the room carefully, where moods could shift without warning, where paying attention to small details, tone, silence, subtle expressions helped you stay emotionally safe. Or maybe you were simply someone who felt things deeply from the beginning, the kind of person who noticed things others brushed past, the kind who picked up on undercurrents in conversations without knowing exactly how. Over time, your brain adapts to that. It becomes efficient at scanning, at noticing, at processing, and that ability stays with you. So when you enter a crowded space, your brain doesn't treat it like a neutral environment. It treats it like a flood of information. Every face becomes a signal. Every sound carries potential meaning. Every movement demands a fraction of your attention. It's not surprising that your system gets tired. In fact, it would be surprising if it didn't. Now here's where people often misunderstand this completely. They assume that if you don't like crowded places, you must not like people. But that's rarely true. Some of the people who feel most overwhelmed in crowds are actually the ones who care the most about connection. They just experience it differently. In a quieter setting, a one-on-one conversation, a small group, something shifts. Your attention settles. Your mind slows down. And suddenly, all that sensitivity becomes an advantage. You listen more deeply. You notice things others miss. You connect in a way that feels real, not rushed. But in a crowd, that same ability turns into overload. It's like trying to have 10 meaningful conversations at once. And eventually, your brain just says, this is too much. So you withdraw. Not because you don't care, but because you care in a way that requires space. There's also another layer that doesn't get talked about enough. Control, or rather the lack of it. In a quiet environment, you have a sense of control over your attention. You can choose where to look, what to focus on, when to engage. In a crowded place, that control disappears. Your attention gets hijacked constantly. A loud laugh behind you, someone brushing past your shoulder, music shifting suddenly, a phone ringing, a group talking loudly nearby. Your brain keeps reacting, adjusting, reorienting, and that constant adjustment drains you. It's like trying to read a book while someone keeps turning the pages for you. Eventually, you just stop trying, and that's when the fatigue hits. Now, here's the part that might surprise you. This isn't necessarily a disadvantage, it just looks like one in the wrong environment. Because the same brain that gets overwhelmed in crowds is often the same brain that excels in depth. Depth of thought, depth of emotion, depth of perception. You might notice patterns others overlook. You might feel more connected to art, music, or ideas. You might understand people on a level that isn't always visible on the surface. But depth comes with a cost. It requires space. And when that space disappears, your system pushes back. That's the tension you feel. Not weakness, not fragility. Just a mismatch between your environment and your wiring. And once you start seeing it this way, something changes. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And you start asking, what does my system actually need? Maybe it needs quieter spaces. Maybe it needs breaks between stimulation. Maybe it needs fewer, deeper interactions instead of many shallow ones. And that doesn't mean you're limiting your life. It means you're shaping it in a way that fits. There's a quiet confidence in that. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. The kind that understands itself. And if you think about it, there's something almost counterintuitive here. The world often celebrates people who can handle constant noise, constant activity, constant stimulation, but not everyone is built for that pace. And maybe they're not supposed to be. Maybe there's value in the people who step back, who observe, who feel deeply instead of constantly, who choose presence over volume. So the next time you find yourself in a crowded place, feeling that familiar tension rising, notice what your instinct is. That quiet pull to step away, to find a corner, to leave early. Instead of judging it, try to understand it. Because it's not random. It's your nervous system, speaking in the only language it has. And it's telling you something important, that your mind works a certain way, that your awareness runs deeper than average, that your energy has limits, and that those limits are worth respecting. You're not missing out. You're just experiencing the world differently. And if this feels familiar, if you've recognized yourself somewhere in this, there's a lot more beneath it. The way you think, the way you connect, the way you recharge, all of it is connected. So I'm curious, when was the last time you noticed this feeling in yourself? Not the obvious discomfort, but the subtle moment it begins, because that's where the real insight usually is. And if this resonated with you, there's more to explore about how your mind works in ways you might not have fully seen yet.